Welcome to Raw Machines, a journey exploring the most impressive processes from around the world. If our last episode showcased the raw and powerful side of basalt quarrying, today, the focus shifts to the art of meticulousness. We will follow professional stonemasons and observe how they craft grain mills from natural stone. Every strike of metal is a lesson in accuracy. Let's get started. Morning. In the basalt region of Niedermandig begins with a sound that never changes, the ring of metal against stone. The millstone dressers here are held in high esteem, even as this ancient craft gradually fades away. They produce millstones finished with the highest level of precision, components primarily destined for traditional mills to grind rye. The basalt block is separated from the quarry face with precise wedge strikes. Then begins a short but heavy journey, loaded onto a stone cart, rolling through the storage yard, where hundreds of other blocks await their own destiny. Today, the craftsmen work in covered sheds with timber frames. But in the old days, there were only bundles of branches hastily propped up to break the wind. The craftsman and the stone faced each other in that primitive space, with nothing to shield them but their own concentration. The stone is flipped over using crowbars. The fall is not loud, but it is decisive. Beneath their feet, the earth is dug away so the stone can be stood upright, a necessary position for reading the stone's structure. A large basalt pedestal is prepared to stabilize the stone. Thin wooden slats are placed on top, a small cushion, but one that governs the entire process. The craftsman leans down, checking the horizontal alignment. Everything that happens afterward depends on this initial moment of calibration. The first surface has to be flat. Not flat by feel, but flat by millstone standards. The curvature must also be exact, otherwise the grinding force will be uneven. The craftsman begins by finding the lowest point on the surface. A straight edge is set in place, and the light slipping through the gap reveals the truth. A line is then drawn around the edge, the boundary between what stays and what must be removed. He picks up a Vetskopf hammer, chosen for its dual nature. The pointed end creates a breaking point, forcing the stone to fracture along a controlled path. The rounded end follows, lifting the stone away from the mass with precision. The first blows always start at the edge, following the marked line. The center is never attacked right away. Instead, a narrow ring is formed, then gradually widened, as if peeling away layer after layer of the stone's defiance. Every fragment that breaks free is examined and listened to. Its color reveals the internal structure. Its sound tells whether the force was sufficient. There's no formula, only experience built up through thousands of stones that came before. Once the major protrusions have vanished, the heavy sledges are set aside. In their place comes the Zweispitz, a lighter, double-pointed hammer. This is the moment the work shifts from raw power to meticulous control. The objective is no longer to remove bulk, but to erase the minute deviations, those remaining high points. The straight edge is constantly laid across the surface. Each placement is a test of the work's integrity. Wherever light still leaks through, another strike is required. The surface now begins to settle. The sense of chaos is gone. Yet, it has not yet reached its final precision.
Raise on the meter.
Ja, ich habe 2,5 auf der Fuhr. Wie viel hast du?
3. Doe eens één. Nooit de feuerbaat, kom weer.
Ja, dat kunnen we toch wel maken. Dat moeten we duurstellen. Ja, zo, weg ermee.
To achieve absolute flatness, the craftsman requires a frame of reference. This is the moment the Seenstreiche appear.
Zo.
First, the entire surface is checked with a level to ensure absolute horizontal alignment. Following this, 3 benchmark points at the edge of the stone are selected. These are not chosen at random. They are the points that represent the entire circumference. These 3 points are brought to exactly the same height using a chisel. From them, standard guide grooves are scribed, dividing the surface into strips roughly 15 centimeters wide. These strips intersect, forming a triangular layout. The Seenstreiche grid transforms a large, unmanageable surface into many smaller zones, each with its own clear working rules. From this point forward, the craftsman no longer works by general intuition, but by specific concrete units of measurement. The work continues triangle by triangle. Nothing is missed and no steps are skipped. The craftsman chisels down each segment until it reaches the exact height of the Seenstreiche lines. In the initial stage, the Zweispitz hammer is used to hollow out the depressions. As the surface nears the required standard, the Flechte, an axe-bladed hammer, takes over the primary role. It allows the craftsman to control the strike horizontally, reducing the risk of chipping the surface. Only when encountering patches of exceptionally hard stone does the Zweispitz return. There is no fixed order for the tools. The sequence is dictated solely by the stone's response. One by one, the triangular segments are completed. Viewed as a whole, the surface begins to exhibit a uniformity that the naked eye might struggle to perceive, but which the craftsman's hand can feel with absolute clarity.
Thấy ra không?
The final stage of the first surface is the creation of the fine texture. This is not for beauty, but for the perfection of function. The Dutzer hammer, with its multiple parallel blades, is brought into use. The craftsman strikes continuously in a steady rhythm, progressing from the edge of the stone toward the center. Each blow is not deep, but they are repeated relentlessly. The straight edge is still used to check the level. Even the smallest deviation is corrected immediately. When everything meets the standard, radial serrations appear clearly on the surface. These will not be worn down. They will not be erased. They are the craftsman's fingerprints, permanently etched into the basalt. When this stage concludes, the first surface is ready. The stone is still raw, still heavy, but it now carries an internal order. And from that order, the circle will be liberated. From the 3 benchmark points at the edge of the stone, those established during the Seenstrijke process, the craftsman lightly chisels inward-facing arcs. The intersection of these arcs reveals the true center of the stone. A small chisel mark is made. From this center, the circle is drawn onto the surface. The craftsmen refer to this step as geschrieben. The circle is not drawn with chalk or charcoal. It is etched directly into the stone, ensuring that time, weather, or stone dust cannot erase it. The diameter, according to the old units of measurement for a millstone known as a Type 14, is exactly 1.31 meters.
Zo. Je knallen, weet je.
Once the circle is clearly defined, the edging and the grain feed hole are worked on simultaneously. The stone's edge is gradually lowered using the Vetskopf hammer, with the chisel strikes always directed outward to protect the finished surface. The craftsman circles the stone multiple times, taking away only a thin layer with each pass, stopping once they reach approximately half the thickness. At the same time, the central hole for the upper runner stone is chiseled vertically with a diameter of about 20 centimeters, wide enough for the grain to flow evenly down to the grinding surface. This hole is only chiseled halfway through the stone to prevent edge chipping and to maintain precision when it is finally completed from the opposite side. As this stage concludes, the stone has a center, a circumference, and a clear axis of rotation, yet it is only half finished. It is ready to be flipped over so that in the next stage, even the smallest margin of error will have nowhere left to hide. The stone center is transferred from the underside to the top using a square. 3 reference points along the rim are re-established with exact precision. Curved cuts are carved to locate the original center, and the circular outline and central opening are redrawn to align perfectly. Even the slightest deviation would reveal itself immediately when the 2 faces finally meet. Working the second surface follows the same sequence as the first: rough flattening, surface refinement, establishing reference lines, and finishing the fine texture. But this time, every movement is slower and more deliberate. There is far less room for correction. When the central hole is continued from this side, the two openings meet precisely at the stone's core, forming a straight, clean passage. It's a small detail, but one that determines whether grain will flow smoothly and evenly once the millstone is put into operation. Once both surfaces are perfectly synchronized, the stone is stood upright to work on the side edges. On this narrow surface, the craftsman repeats the same principles applied to the flat faces. The Preller, Zweispitz, and Dutzer hammers are used in succession to ensure the edges are straight, square, and uniform around the entire circumference. The stone is rolled in small increments, processing only a section of the edge at a time. This task demands both physical strength and deep patience, as the massive weight of the stone allows for no hasty movements. When this stage concludes, the stone has taken on the full, final form of a complete millstone. It no longer belongs to the workshop or the craftsman. Instead, it is ready to enter a new life within the mills, where any remaining deviation, should it exist, will be exposed by every relentless rotation. The millstones are transported by cart to Andernach, then loaded onto barges on the Rhine River for distribution throughout Central Europe. The waterways provide a smooth journey, reducing the risk of fractures for these heavy yet brittle stones. When the railway arrived, a dedicated millstone loading station was built right in Niedermendiz, shortening transport times without compromising quality standards. Many mill owners would travel there in person to select their stones, relying on the sound, the grain of the rock, and the craftsman's reputation rather than mere transaction papers. From this, the prestige of the Niedermendig millstone was forged, becoming a vital pillar of the food network and the livelihood of an entire region. The journey of a millstone begins as a raw, heavy, and silent block of basalt, but it ends as a tool that knows how to work, one that takes responsibility for every revolution it makes. Between those 2 points lie hundreds of hours of labor, where the craftsman does not impose his will upon the material, but instead patiently listens, adjusts, and respects the natural limits of the stone. Every hammer strike is not merely to remove excess, but to uncover the true form hidden within. The craft of millstone carving is, therefore, not a battle between man and nature, but a persistent collaboration. Precision does not come from machinery, but from experience accumulated through generations. Perfection is not found in a polished surface, but in the ability to work stably and quietly, day after day, in the heart of the mill. When the stone leaves the workshop and enters operation, it becomes part of a much larger chain of livelihood, grinding grain, feeding communities, and tying itself to the agricultural rhythm of an entire region. The reputation of the Niedermendig millstone was not built on promises, but on time, on stones that spun steadily for decades without ever betraying their users. In an increasingly fast-paced world dependent on technology, the craft of millstone carving reminds us of the value of slowness, precision, and respect for materials. It shows that there is knowledge that can only exist when we accept working with our hands, our eyes, and our patience. And though the craft may become rare, the story of the millstone remains, a testament to the fact that whatever is created with care and integrity will always have the power to transcend time. Thank you for listening to the end of our story. If you enjoy videos like this, please hit the like button, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming journeys. Raw Machines says goodbye, and we'll see you next time.